Yo, what's going on, people? It's creamslice. Hope you guys are good. So before we jump into this build, I'm currently working on the Discords for all you SOBs who want to meet up with some new people, be yourself and grind out some shit. The link's going to be below for the Discord, but I will let you know it's at its basic right now. But hopefully there's some savvy techs who can, you know, join the channel and jump in the Discord and sort it all out for us. Whoever can help us out would be much appreciated, and it won't go amiss. So this build, anyway, the new meta, I call it that, because Titans seem to be rising up all over this season and just causing havoc in the solo game, like dungeons and your lost sectors. Titans are everywhere with Solar 3.0. There's plenty of videos out there with, you know, the Titan hammer and all that good stuff, and it is kind of what we're going to be covering today, but obviously with a cream slice twist. And there's been new fragments added this past week, so I think when we add the new fragments, it takes this build to the absolute limit. Unlimited abilities, unlimited health, unlimited healing. You know, you've got buffs all over the place. It's really nice, and it's really strong, and you will be seeing this build for a long time, even without some of the artifact mods. So for me, there's two builds right now that can be called the new meta, you know, quote unquote the new meta, and that's a Lori Splendor with a new Solar 3.0 rework, and there's the OG synthoceps and the hammer. This time for me, the OG takes a win, going back to basics but with new fragments. Although Lori, it does offer pretty much unlimited healing, you know, with the sunspots, unlimited abilities. The problem is it doesn't have, you know, that same you know, as Syntho's, that same power. And with the release of these new fragments this past week, it's like the Syntho build remains the strongest without a doubt. With the, you know, it's got all the rawness, all the power, unlimited abilities, and just infinity healing now with the new fragment. So this is what I'm saying, it's like Lori Splendor and the Syntho build packed into one build, and you are just an ultimate machine. So if you find this video helpful and enjoyable, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, click the bell, get notified. Without hesitating, let's get into the build. So first things first, we head over to the synthoceps, and if we have a look at the perk, biotic enhancements, increase melee, lunge range, improve melee and super damage when you are surrounded. So when you're surrounded about 2 or 3 enemies, you increase your melee damage, which will in turn increase our throwing hammer. Another great thing about this is it also gives you an extra 50% damage with your super, which I would recommend throwing your hammers at the moment, because it seems to be the better super. So when we talk about aspects and fragments, you guys know how this goes. Soul Invictors for the sunspots and the healing and all that ability regen, and then we have Roaring Flames. You get that up to ×3. You are dealing massive damage with your throwing hammer. I am using the healing grenade because I figure this works really nicely in a fire team setting. Also, if you are running like Master of the Lost Sectors, it does come in clutch and it does help you out, especially with the fragments. We're now going to get increased timer with our restoration and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty much catered to the standard throwing hammer build, but like I said, we're going to be using some new fragments. So the first fragment is going to be Ember Torches. Powered melee attacks against the enemies make you radiant, which will give your weapons a nice 25% damage buff. And here we go for one of the new fragments, which takes this build over the top. Ember of Empyrean. Solar weapons or ability final blows extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects. So this is pretty much like having Devour but on a solar subclass, ladies and gentlemen, and we all know the power behind the restoration. It is absolutely nutty and will keep you alive in the strongest of activities. So that's one of the new mods. The next mod is Ember of Char, your solar ignition spread scorch to affected targets. So what this will do with your hammer, your baby hammer will scorch enemies as well. So usually, you know, when you're clearing ads saying like you're running a dungeon, there's plenty of ads there, and it's really nice for clean up, and there's just ignitions all over the place. And last but not least, we've got Ember of Solace. Radiant and restoration effects last longer. So as you can see, we have our healing down to a T. We are pretty much unkillable at this point. So now we'll go over some of the weapons, and I'll show you some of the weapon mods that we are using to take this build into top tier category. Any build you are making right now, I do recommend running 100 resilience as your primary stat, and then speccing into another one like discipline, because this will give you a massive 40% damage reduction, and that's without any mods. So as you can imagine, we are using our healing grenade for restoration. We've got the 40% damage resistance with resilience capped out, so we are pretty much, like I said, unkillable. Now we talk about our firepower. So we have the synthoceps with the baby hammer dealing out massive damage. But another weapon that plays into this build really nicely is a callus mini tool. You can get one with these rolls on it. I recommend you do. When my screen eventually loads up, we have got grave robber on there, so this is perfect synergy for the hammer build. You're throwing your hammer, it's refilling your magazine, you're igniting enemies, scorching them, so that's going to give us ability energy back, and it's going to cause ignitions as well, playing into the ember empyrean, which is going to keep our restoration and our radiant buff active as long as we are getting solar kills with our weapons or abilities. And it's your choice what you use in bottom slot and your special. I was using Riptide because this enables you to also stun champions with 2 shots with chill clip, which is super OP. So we'll go over the mods really quickly, but you guys know how it goes. It's pretty similar setup to how you would usually have it, but I've changed out a few things. But the only thing with this build that makes it new and improved are the new fragments. What I am using is a really underrated perk when you are using the callus mini tool, and that is unquenchable thirst. So when you look at the callus mini tool, it has 2 access perk on there. What this mod does is when you are sitting on your super and you get solar kills, you are getting increased discipline and increased strength, which plays into this build like so nicely. I can't believe I'm not seeing a lot of people using it, but just think, you're getting, like, you need your hammer and you need your grenades with this build, so this is feeding our abilities as well as everything else, which to me, in my opinion, is OP as fuck. And then we've got Well of Life on there as well. When we pick up a solar well, we get increased healing as well as everything else. On the synthos, we've got High Energy Fire, so when we are constantly proccing the Radiant perk, this stacks with that, so we're getting a 45% damage increase with our weapons, and it's pretty much unlimited as long as you are getting solar kills. And we're running the Lament and the callus mini tool, which are, you know, solar weapons, so we're getting unlimited healing with restoration and unlimited radiant buff. On the chest piece, we've got solar resistance and void resistance, melee damage so we don't get stomped out when we're using our sword, and we have melee well maker on there. That's how we make our solo wells. On the boots, we've got elemental charge, so we can become charged with light and have 2 stacks of those when we pick up any solar well, and we have recuperation when we're making the orbs of power. So we've got a lot of healing going on. It's going to be top draw for your end game content, fire team setting or solo. Under Titan mark, we have bountiful wells, so we can make an extra few wells to get abilities back with our melee. And we've got classy restoration, which is clearly the best mod this season. Even without classy restoration, this build will carry you through tons of shit. Thanks for watching, thanks for sticking around to the very end. If this does sound a bit clearer, I finally got a new mic, guys, and I'm buzzing, absolutely buzzing. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video on Cream Slice. Peace.